Little Red Schoolhouse has served children and families in Snohomish County for 45 years. We've helped thousands of families create a bright future for their children. Each of these family stories is unique, and yet they're strikingly similar. When a child is born, incredible hope and optimism is created. But when something goes wrong, either at birth or as children don't meet developmental milestones, families are confused and frightened, and they lose hope. At Little Red Schoolhouse, we help families recapture the hopes and dreams that they have for their children.
I do remember the doctor saying when I was pregnant about testing, and he said, well, you know, what if your child has Down syndrome? And I said, you know what, we want this child so much. That wouldn't affect anything for us. When he was born and we got the diagnosis of Down syndrome, I kind of felt a little lost at first. I didn't know how to help him. You know, you're so happy to have this little person that you've been waiting for, and then all of a sudden it hits you that you're going down a different path. And I think the hardest part for us was that the struggles that our child was going to go through. And that is where Little Red has really helped us. I wouldn't have known what to do. And there's just so much knowledge and support there that it's helped me be a better mom. When we called Little Red, it was amazing. You know, my husband was with me that first meeting, and he's like, okay, I think we have a plan. We know what to expect. We know what Paolo needs and what he's going to get. And I think that was a huge relief for us, because finally we didn't have to think about it every day. The best decision we made was going to Little Red, because you're kind of at that point and you don't know what to do. You have choices. There are choices of what you can do for your child. But for us, what was important was laying that foundation. We needed a place for him to be where he was going to get lots of support, we were going to get lots of knowledge, and they're there for us. I mean, if we have questions, they answer them, and they're really the beginning of our journey.
Paolo's story beautifully illustrates what happens when Little Red Schoolhouse partners with families. To ensure that every child who needs our services receives them, we've created an outreach program. In this program, we partner with community organizations like homeless shelters and transitional housing to make sure that every preschooler is screened and those who need extra support receive it. A great example of this program is our El Nido Playgroup, where Spanish-speaking families have the opportunity to come together and for their children to socialize. Parents can meet other parents and create their own community.
I
was very fortunate that a friend told me that there was a bilingual group that was about to start in October 2007 called El Nido. I had concerns that my little girl was not talking much, and now, thanks to the support of the staff from Little Red, she is talking up a storm.
Well, when I first came to the group, I was really looking for someone to really help me out with my son, because he wasn't talking. One of the members here told me about, you know, coming over here. So when I came over here, I mean, after like 2 days, I mean, he started to really show some signs of talking. I would tell any parent or any couple, you know, this would be the place for their child to come, you know, if they can speak Spanish or English, or just basically need some place to interact with other kids.
Early intervention works. Studies have shown that 35% of children who receive early intervention services no longer need special services by kindergarten. Our staff of physical, occupational, speech therapists, special educators, and social workers are privileged to observe the joy of children growing and learning and reaching their potential. These milestones are ones the families we work with fear their children will never reach, and yet they are the miracles we observe every day.
The day that Ruby was born, everything was going fine. I had a C-section, and then we went back to the room, and I was nursing her, and then they took a blood test. They took her away, so that was the first time. I had her, and then they took her away, and I didn't get her back for a long time. And then when I did see her, she was, you know, lying down with an oxygen tent, and she just looked so pathetic, the poor thing. So that first day just kept getting knocked down with this is wrong and this is wrong, and she had IVs in her because she wasn't getting whatever nutrition she needed. And we kept wondering, when are we going to go home? And finally it gets to Friday, and we bring our baby out of the hospital and bring her to the next hospital. The echocardiogram showed that she had this extra valve. The cardiologist said, if you're gonna have a heart defect, this is the best, because you fix it and it's done. So then every Friday we would go back for another echo for 4 weeks. On the 4th week, the doctor said, this heavy breathing she's doing is not because of her heart. We were still on the cardiology team, and they said, we need to switch you to pulmonology because her breathing is not due to her heart. And then Friday came and we thought we were going to go home, and a blood test came back that she was toxic with CO2. So instead of going home, we got to go to the NICU, and we spent 2 months in the NICU. She was stuck with a CPAP on her nose, a little rhinoceros tube that stuck in her nose, and it was pulled up on her head, and she hated it. But she was on that for 24/7. It was really sad. It ended up that diagnosis was low tone, restrictive lung disease, and PDA in her heart. But we were going to be able to go home. We would need therapy when we got home. And while I was in the hospital, a community helper came, and so we could transition to home. So she gave me a whole booklet, and Little Red was listed as a home health provider. My first meeting with them, it was so much different from the hospital. A hospital where everybody was dragging us down. This is wrong and this is wrong. But at Little Red, Ruby would go like this, and everyone's like, oh, that's great, Ruby, wonderful. Or, you know, she would just move her head and they're like, oh, Ruby, that's wonderful. Everyone was just so positive. She's got a walker. She walks around, and she loves being walked with fingers. She'll let go and trying to get her balance, and she's so proud of herself. She's talking, she's putting 2 words together, and her feeding is, she eats pizza, she loves to eat, and she is able to. And that has all come from the help with Little Red. I needed folks at Little Red to show me that this is what you do, and all these great things can happen. And it's just been wonderful. I can't imagine what I would have done without Little Red. She wouldn't be where she is now. We're all really happy, and she's got a great future.
Every child deserves the opportunity to succeed. Help us today create the bright futures of tomorrow.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Little Red.